This episode of The Young Turks brought to you by Jack Threads for the win.
Somehow we've been talking about affirmative action this morning because of Donald Trump and because of his insinuations about the president. Affirmative action has come to the fore as well in Oklahoma, and this comes from the Tulsa World. The Oklahoma House of Representatives has proposed a constitutional amendment that would eliminate affirmative action in state government. I quote now Representative Shannon, T.W. Shannon from Lawton, Oklahoma. He says, "I believe discrimination exists. I don't think affirmative action has been as successful as we like to believe." To which one of his colleagues, Representative Sally Kern from Oklahoma City, said something really prizeworthy. Now, listen, Shannon can believe that affirmative action doesn't work. There are reasons that people don't want affirmative action. I don't think they're necessarily all based in race, but I think most of them are, and I think that the ones that aren't are, for financial reasons that should be overlooked because race and leveling the playing field and affording incentives is more about the American way than saving a few dollars. But let's listen to Sally Kern. This is a representative from Oklahoma. This is clip number 3, JR. Let's listen to her talk about affirmative action.
I think, God gave us 2 ears so we could hear both sides of the argument. We have heard tonight already that in prison there's more black people. Yes, there are, and that's tragic. It's tragic that our prisons here in Oklahoma, what are they, 99% occupancy? But the other side of the story, perhaps we need to consider, is this just because they're black that they're in prison? Or could it be because they didn't want to work hard in school? And white people oftentimes don't want to work hard in school, or Asians oftentimes. But a lot of times, that's what happens. I taught school for 20 years, and I saw a lot of people of color who didn't want to work as hard. They wanted it given to them. Matter of fact, I had one student that said, "I don't need to study. You know why? The government's going to take care of me." That's kind of revealing there.
JR, I want to go back. I want to play the end of that again, maybe the last, if we can, or just play. There's a great shot of one of the representatives. First, there's one woman in front who's watching her, who stays exactly the same, just looks at her the entire time, unmoved entirely. Then there's a guy a couple of rows behind her who's just, he's not there yet in the picture yet. I would come back a little further if we can. His seat is now vacant, but he was sitting there. And I love this guy because he's just shaking his head, he's laughing, then he stands up and he walks out. Let's see if we can see that again. Oh, there he is.
A lot of people of color who didn't want to work as hard, they wanted it given to them.
Hand. He's
like,
Matter of
fact, I had one student
I got to
that
get
said,
out of here.
"I don't
This
need
is
to study."
ridiculous. I love that guy. I want to know who he is. So Sally Kern, Mike Shelton, a Democrat of Oklahoma City, said this body will quote the Bill of Rights and then talk about Muslims every day. They'll talk about illegal immigrants every day. They'll talk about homosexuals. Oklahoma is a great state as long as you fit the profile. Well, let's cut now to Representative Kern, who apologizes. And she said, let's see what she said. Well, she issued a written apology at noon Thursday. "I want to humbly apologize for my statements last night." By the way, humbly apologize. It's so humble. Here's her written statement. Last night about African Americans and women. "I believe that our government should not provide preference based on race or gender. I misspoke while trying to convey this point last night during debate. Women are some of the hardest workers in the world. My husband is a pastor of a diverse inner city church, and the way that my words came out last night is certainly not my true spirit." That's her apology? That women work hard and her husband's a pastor of a inner city diverse church? That's her apology? Well, she won't be disciplined. The NAACP, Anthony Douglas, the state conference chairman, said you cannot commit racism and then offer an apology for the racist statement that you make. The citizens of Oklahoma, the constituents, can no longer stand by and allow this type of action to happen. House Speaker Chris Steele said he did not think disciplinary action was warranted. He said he called Kern Thursday morning and told her I disagreed with her comments. She said that what she had stated came out wrong, and she was already in the process of issuing an apology. She was speaking slowly and deliberately. She was not speaking off the cuff. If they came out wrong, she had plenty of time to correct what she was saying. She was giving what her argument was, clearly a well thought out argument, a well fleshed out argument. I was a teacher for 20 years. That's 20 years of standing in front of a classroom and thinking that black people weren't working hard enough, that they thought that they were going to get handouts, that black people just aren't up to the task. That is what formed this opinion. She's not apologizing. If she had any balls, she would stand up there and not apologize for this, because this is exactly what she meant. And if she's ashamed of it, she shouldn't be a state representative. This is foolish. This is all the reasons right there in a nutshell why affirmative action exists, is because people like Sally Kern, is that her first name? Sally, yes, Sally Kern from Oklahoma City, were teaching in schools. People like Sally Kern from Oklahoma City are in the state house in Oklahoma. That is why affirmative action exists, because people are up against fools like this and the people that agree with them. So if you think that affirmative action shouldn't exist, listen to Sally Kern. Listen to this foolish woman, this heartless, stupid woman talk about why affirmative action shouldn't exist. There are really good arguments for why affirmative action shouldn't exist, but the fact that it does exist is because of this argument, because this woman stands in front of that body and people are looking at her and staring her straight in the eye and are unfazed, but thankfully that one man gets up and walks out. But the fact that she can stand in front of that body and talk like she did is why we have affirmative action in this country, because they're up against so many obstacles. It is not the only ticket. It is not always fair, by the way. Affirmative action is not always fair. There are victims to affirmative action, but the victims to not having it far outnumber the victims to having it.
Jack Threads is a new sponsor for TYT. They're a members-only online shopping club, but because you know us, you're going to get in. Aren't we cool? But here's a key part to it, 80% off. Hello, up to 80% off of some of the top apparel lines in the country. Game over.
Right.
So go to jackthreads.com/TYT because it's free to join, and you get all those discounts, and you avoid the pain in the ass. The ending of this commercial is a little schwang wang wang.